Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Push to Pass podcast. I am Derek Vance, and as you can see here on the screen with me is my fellow colleague and co-host here on the Push to Pass podcast, Josh Roberts. Michael is on another assignment this evening, so he will not be able to join us. But we do have a lot to discuss, a lot to recap, a lot to go over as we are now officially race fans into the month of May. Tomorrow does start the first practice for the 110th running of the Indianapolis 500. But before we discuss that, we do have to talk about what we witnessed this past weekend on the road course at the world famous Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the Sonsio Grand Prix. And before we get into all of that, let's bring in again, as I mentioned just earlier, the co-host here on the Push to Pass podcast, none other than Josh Roberts. Josh, how are you this evening?
Oh, I am doing fantastic over here on the south side of Indy. It was a beautiful day out. I'd love to be out on the golf course, but that'll be on Wednesday. Hopefully it's as nice Wednesday as it is now. But it was a heck of a weekend. A couple different topics to talk about this tonight. We've got qualifying. We've got some push to pass controversy. Just all kinds of different stuff. And we want to wish Michael well on his assignment that he's on right now. Hopefully he'll be back next week so that we can sit down and talk about the big race that's coming up in a couple weeks. So without further ado, let's get it started. Talking about the Sonsio Grand Prix that happened this past weekend.
Yeah, definitely can't wait to get Michael back in the fold because everybody knows, obviously, what the assets that he brings to this podcast for sure. But yes, a lot of happenings this weekend at the road course over there at 16th in Georgetown. Yes, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, if you are not familiar with the address. First and foremost, huge congratulations goes out to the whole number 7 crew, Christian Lundgaard, Arrow McLaren, for picking up their first win of the year. That was only Christian Lundgaard, believe it or not, his second win of the year, as late in the race he was able to take the lead from Will Power, and he didn't look back as he was able to hold off all of the other gentlemen to capture the Sonsio Grand Prix. So definitely strategy obviously played a huge part in his race this weekend and win. There was a lot of different strategies that took place. Obviously, that's due to the fact of something that we always talk about. Hey, I like the background back there, by the way. It's got a hockey-esque to it a little bit, so I definitely like that. But a lot of strategy went into this weekend. Obviously, is something that is always well documented here on the road course at IMS is turn one. And again, it was the same for this race here as well. Definitely a lot of bumping and banging took place. I know Palou Ward, who qualified second, basically got his race taken away by getting spun out there going into turn number 1. And believe it or not, Alex Palou did have the lead for the first quarter of the race, but pit strategy kind of put him behind the 8 ball. He was able to claw and fight his way back to a top 5 finish. Thank you for that. That gives me another point in our picks. I was worried a lot that Louis Foster was going to end up finishing above Palou, but when Palou was able to make that late charge there to get in the top 5, that secured me another point. So I'm climbing another rung of the ladder to try to catch Michael here by season's end. But Christian Lundgaard dominated when he got out in front, Josh. And again, it was good to see it was obviously somebody good to see different than Alex Palou out in front in winning the race. You think TV ratings, which we talk about a lot on here, seems like they're going fairly well with Alex Palou dominating the sport. But the talk of Saturday was definitely Christian Lundgaard.
Oh yeah, Christian had a heck of a race. He was he wasn't exactly dominant, but he was good enough to finish that race and get the win. And anytime we can get another winner for the NTT IndyCar series that is not named that does not have the initials of AP is always a good thing because it gives us something more to talk about. I felt like this was a really good race. A lot of battles, different places. They did have to move the qualification to Saturday because we had inclement weather. Here in Indianapolis in May, it's not exactly all sunshine and rainbows. It rained, and it rained pretty extensively. And I was on my way home today from dinner listening to Jake Query a recap of his, and he had I believe he had Graham Rahal on, and Graham was talking about that he thought it was a really good thing that they moved it to Saturday. He wished they kind of would have made the announcement a little earlier, but he felt like they had plenty of time on Saturday in between the qualifications and the race that moving it to it was not going to detriment anybody because nobody got out on track the entire time, so everybody went into qualifications with the same, let's say, disadvantage of not having any time put down. He was talking about they could have possibly ran the race. Oh, sorry, not ran. Done qualifications and done the rain tires, but with how the oval portion of the track doesn't drain well. It holds rain. It holds puddles very well, and driving over those puddles with those rain tires is not optimal to qualifying. So moving it to Saturday looked like it was one heck of a win for race control. And on the winners, Palou ended up winning, and not winning, but getting you the point. I really thought Louis Foster was going to do it. He was up there. He was competing, I guess Alex Palou just bankrupted me again. Can't get another point. Can't get any points this year. But it was a heck of a race, and it was a good precursor to what I hope in about 13 days will be one heck of a 500.
Yeah, interesting. You were talking about qualifying. I completely forgot about that. Yeah, it got moved. It was supposed to be Friday evening, but obviously, as you said, the Indiana weather had other plans, and that ended up getting moved to Saturday around 10:30 a.m. There were a lot of drivers, particularly Pato Award, who was disappointed in the fact that qualifying was moved to Saturday due to the rain. That's something I kind of want to talk about, Josh. I'm not sure. Like I said, I know we're gonna probably shoot from the hip this evening a little bit, so to say. But I get the fact if there's standing water and huge puddles on the track. I get that for safety reasons, and I guess another reason too that I'm not sure IndyCar released was the fact that if somebody was to get seriously hurt, heaven forbid that would have happened during qualifying on Friday, it was going around that the helicopter that they would have had to use to life flight somebody, if that would have been the case, was not able to either land or take off due to the inclement weather. So I believe that's another reason why IndyCar decided to move qualifying to Saturday. But putting that aside, like I said, I get the fact if there's standing water and puddles on the track, obviously for safety concerns, I get that. But why have Firestone design a rain tire, Josh? And I know this is if your favorite subject right in your wheelhouse, but why have them design and test a rain tire if you're not going to use it?
Well, I mean, it's if I take from Graham what he said on Jake's show today. I mean, if I take it from his vantage point, these tires, they are good for wet weather, but they're not good for driving over standing puddles. And it just my question would be, did they test the rain tire on IMS's track? Graham said that most all the other courses that they do that could potentially have rain do really well on the drainage. They have fantastic drainage, but IMS's the oval does not have very good drainage. So inevitably, I think it was just the safety concerns. You don't want anybody, hitting a puddle and crashing their car, thus destroying a perfectly good car that could be used later on this month. And God forbid someone were to hit a puddle and hit into the retaining wall or hit into something, and like you said, would have to be lifelined. I mean, the track's not too far away from the hospital, from a local hospital. Methodist is just down the street. Eskenazi is just down the street, which I would assume they would go to Methodist or IU instead of Eskenazi. But like Graham was saying, it was a good choice to move it. I'm sure the drivers just would have preferred that race control made the announcement a lot earlier than they actually did.
Also, Josh, was it one of those things? And again, I didn't catch Graham's interview with Jake Query from 105.7, the Fan here locally. Shameless plug there, but was it one of those things where it's good to have on hand, and hopefully you don't use it type of deals?
Are you talking about the helicopter, or what were you talking about, Derek?
The rain tires.
Oh, I mean, yeah, it's good. It's good to have. It's good to have if you're to have the rain tires on all the time, to have them on hold. But like I was saying, puddles don't do well with puddles. I mean, I don't know if Firestone can figure out a way to make a tire that does better with puddles, but having them on hand is always a good thing. I just think that if you remember, and I remember on Friday, it just progressively got worse and worse in the raining category. So I know it may have made some of the drivers mad that they had to cram a whole bunch of stuff into Saturday, but let's be honest, these guys are getting paid lots of money to drive these cars, and I mean, it's not always going to be perfect. Everything's not always going to be perfect, so just go with the flow. I know it's hard as a driver. You've got a lot of strain and a lot of stress on you, but just go with the flow. And it's not like anybody got on the track and had any track time before and somebody else didn't. They all went into Saturday with the same exact amount of track time on the street course or road course, as everyone else. So it was an even playing field.
All right. Next thing I want to get to, and I know you're able to watch the race this weekend. What driver, obviously outside of Christian Lundgaard, who the winner was, what driver impressed you this weekend on the road course?
I'm going to do a shameless plug, and I'm going to go with Louis Foster. He's not always had a fantastic weekend, but he qualified really well, and he was up there near the front a lot. I just think Louis had a really good weekend, and hopefully that translates into more success for him this coming weekend. Hopefully he can get out there, get the data in the car, and figure out maybe he can challenge for the pole. Last year we had an unlikely pole sitter, and maybe Louis can make it 2 in a row.
It's interesting that you bring up a rookie with Robert Schwartzman last year grabbing the pole for the 109th running of the Indianapolis 500, because I thought the driver that impressed me on Saturday, again, we usually don't give a lot of love to rookies on here, but I'm going to go with the driver that ended up getting the most improved, the Jocelyn's Award for most improved throughout the race, and that was rookie Dennis Hauger, who, believe it or not, Josh, he started 24th. He finished in the top 10. He finished 8th, so he improved 16 positions. So I thought Dennis Hauger, the rookie from your favorite race team there, Dale Coyne Racing, was very impressive on Saturday. Also, too, just looking at some of the event data that came in from Saturday, race passes, total passes, there were 175, and 162 passes were for position. So definitely a lot of jostling between the drivers there. But yeah, I was impressed a lot by the race Dennis Hauger had on Saturday.
Definitely. I also want to send a big shout out to Graham Rahal, the Indiana boy, giving Rahal Letterman Lanigan a podium finish.
Sir, Graham Rahal is from God's country, Ohio.
Didn't he grow up in New Albany? Is that New Albany? Maybe I was
outside Columbus.
Oh, well, my fault. For some reason, he was talking about New Albany. Maybe there's a New Albany, Ohio. I only think of one New Albany. It's a possibility. Okay. Well, okay. Nonetheless, even if he's from Ohio, I still got to give him props for getting Rahal Letterman Lanigan a podium finish. They don't get a lot of those. And, David Letterman, part of the part of the ownership, and I believe you talked to him. You got to meet him this weekend. I'll be looking forward to the interview you did with him, or is he going to come on sometime soon? But for Graham Rahal to come out and get third and get a podium finish for Rahal Letterman Lanigan was a fantastic thing for him.
All right, two things. One, you now know that there are two New Albany's, New Albany, Indiana, and there is a New Albany, Ohio, where Graham Rahal grew up at. And two, yes, interesting story here real quick. Actually, I met two people, and I don't think you could figure out who the second one was, because as soon as I tell you, you're going to be like, oh, yeah. I couldn't spell the guy's name right. But, yes, on was it Friday? No, it was Saturday. Saturday. I get to the media lot, get parked, walk across the street, get in. They use the golf carts to shuttle the media back and forth from the media parking lot to the media center. Josh and Michael both know that. And getting off the golf cart right outside the Dex Media Center, and sure enough, I run right into David Letterman. So I got to speak with him. I would love to get him on here. I think he's a funny guy. But yes, was able to meet him. And then, Josh, you've seen the story of the individual that rode, the Indiana Pacer basketball player that rode in the two-seater on Saturday. Again, I think I confused Josh because spelling is not my best asset. But I was able to meet Andrew Nemhard as well, who rode in the two-seater before the race as well on Saturday.
I knew who you were talking about. I was just giving you crap because you spelled Nemhard, Neuhard. Nehard. I was like, who is Andrew Nehard? But yes, Andrew Nemhard. He is part of the Pacers. I could go off on a tangent about the Pacers and the draft lottery and a stupid trade, but I'm not going to. But Andrew Nemhard was in the two-seater this past weekend, and I don't think he's ever gone that fast. I watched the stream and the video of him going around, and he seemed to have a really good time. Of course, we would love for the Pacers to be in the playoffs and have Pacers and racers like we did last year. But getting those drivers out there, and him and was Siakam the other Grand Marshal of the race? I know there was two of them. So no.
You're on the right track. It was announced this week that Andrew Nimhard and Pascal Siakam are going to be the Grand Marshals for the 500 parade. So you're on the right track.
Okay, so those two are going to be the Grand Marshals for the parade, but that's always a cool thing, getting those drivers, those celebrities and athletes in a two-seater and hearing them scream and holler as they're going around at 150, 200 miles an hour in that two-seater. One day I'll be skinny enough to get in there, and I'll pay the money and go around the track.
Yeah, I actually think that would be really cool. Absolutely. But me and you were in the same boat on size when it comes to that. We were talking about the most improved during the race on Saturday. I want to flip the script here a little bit. Josh, in your opinion, what driver or I'm going to add a caveat, what team disappointed you the most on Saturday?
I'm going to go ECR. Two of their drivers finished dead last and second to dead last. I know Rossi had a problem with his hybrid system, which he went on a tirade about that after the race or during the race, talking about a system that that the drivers, quote, never asked for and was shoehorned in on their car. And then, I mean, you had Christian Rasmussen, who didn't even finish. I think he didn't get very many laps in. I think he got it doesn't say how many laps he got in here. Actually, 28 laps. He only got 28 laps in. So Ed Carpenter Racing, just not a very good Sonsio Grand Prix for them. Neither of them qualified really well. Rasmussen was started out in 19th, and Rossi started out in 13th. And also Rossi being a little brave, getting out of the car while the track was still hot. And he was hot afterwards. If anybody saw his interview afterwards, how about you? What would you say would be the team that disappointed the most?
Well, the great philosopher once said, "Great minds think alike," and I'm in total agreement with you. I was expecting more out of Ed Carpenter Racing. Obviously, money that was put in to their program, obviously with the new sponsorship from Michael's favorite coffee, Java House, Splenda, all of those companies that put in money, and then this being quote unquote the Ed Carpenter's Racing's home track. I was expecting more from them, but I hope this is not a prelude to what ECR is going to be like during practice this week, and then for the 500, because being at your considered home track with the Ed Carpenter Racing, it's got to be an embarrassment. And again, this is no knock on Ed Carpenter Racing, but it has to be an embarrassment when you come back to your home track, your home city, and both of your drivers finish last and second to last, and then Alexander Rossi goes off the cuff on his interview with Fox Sports and says what he says. So is there a little bit of an embarrassment, Josh, you think, over in the ECR camp right now?
Oh, there's got to be. I mean, they only had two cars in the entire race that I'm seeing on the grid, and for them to end and dead last and second to dead last, and the way Rossi went off, and I would imagine that he may have gotten called to race control, and possibly a fine was given or a warning was given to not disparage IndyCar, because you know how Roger hates when anything anything negative is brought out into the public. He wants IndyCar to have this squeaky clean reputation and nothing to get out. And I think that controversy breeds ratings and breeds viewers, but that's just me. So if I ever got to sit down with the captain, which I doubt I'll ever get to, I would tell him, hey, all publicity is good publicity, no matter if it's bad or good. But and this being, like you said, this being considered their home track, just not a very good look for them. And I'm sure Ed Carpenter is probably in his trailer or at his house currently trying to devise a plan and figure out what they're going to do this coming weekend and the weekend after that to try to get the bad taste out of their mouth.
It's interesting that you bring up the image of IndyCar drivers. I know that's been a hot button topic on this show on numerous occasions, but just a side note, I had a conversation with an individual on a high profile team over the weekend, particularly on Saturday. And that's actually a topic we got into and this person was in agreement with us that there's not enough quote unquote bad boys, I guess is maybe the term I want to use in IndyCar. And it's kind of, everybody wants to be a scholar and a gentleman. So it was interesting that somebody from a high profile team I had the conversation with was actually in agreement with us, Josh, that IndyCar needs more of, what is that, the 1989 Detroit Pistons. They need enough bad boys.
Sorry, hit the wrong button. Yeah, they need bad boys. They need some heat. They need they need a heel. If you're we bring up wrestling on this all the time. They need heels. Too many baby faces just doesn't help out your series. You need a heel. You need a Kyle Busch. You need a Kurt Busch. You need someone that is going to appease and to appeal to those less squeaky clean people in the world. And I'm not saying that they need to come out and they need to curse and they need to scream and they need to do stuff like that or get into a fight. Shoving could always bring up some ratings, but squeaky clean's not always a good thing in my opinion.
And a side note, interesting that you brought up, use the wrestling reference. Have you seen, there's a new documentary out, I believe, done by Netflix, I believe, about Hulk Hogan, A Real American. If you have not seen it yet, I believe it's a 5-part doc series. I just picked it up a couple days ago. Definitely worth a watch. I did not know, learning from this, Josh, and you may have, because I know your wrestling knowledge is more vast than mine. I did not know that Hulk Hogan or Terry Bolla, however you knew him, started out in the music business in a rock and roll band. I had no idea.
He did. I think he was discovered somewhere down in Clearwater, Florida, or somewhere in Florida. He was a rock star. I think he played the guitar. If you've ever seen in a music video that WWE did or WWF back then did with a lot of their stars, he was actually playing a guitar. So yeah. And I haven't watched it. I've heard about it. I'm not a historian, but I do listen to a lot of historians on Hulk Hogan, and I will be watching it just to see, did they sugarcoat some of the stuff about him? Because, he was touted as the All-American hero. He was an All-American hero, and, take your vitamins, say your prayers and all that. I'll have to look and see if they actually sugarcoated it, if they showed some of the actual dark sides of Hulk Hogan. But back to IndyCar, the Sonsio Grand Prix. I would say I saw the crowd and it looked like it was a really good crowd. So I don't know if they've released the TV ratings. I wouldn't imagine they have yet, but. I watched it when I got home. I watched the race and I thought the coverage was fantastic. I thought that it was just it was a fantastic event. Once again, Indianapolis and IMS puts on one heck of a production and keeping everything going and looking nice.
Just doing a quick search. I have not seen the TV ratings for it as well. I was talking to a fellow member of the IndyCar media in the media center, and I think we were guessing for this race there may have been between 15 to 20,000 people, and if that's the case, I think that's great for a race that doesn't get as much fireworks and a spectacle as the next race will, the 110th running of the Indianapolis 500. Curious again. I'm curious to see what the TV ratings are. But if we guesstimated between 15 and 20,000 people for the Grand Prix, I think that's a great indication for IndyCar of how much Indianapolis loves this road course and how much the fans want it to stay.
Yeah, like I said, it's a great prelude to the 500. I know some of the purists would say, no, we can only have one race in May and it's the 500. Well, get over it, Grandpa. I'll get off your lawn and I'll go watch the race because I thought it was a really good race. It is, yeah, it's a really good race. I would assume probably the TV ratings, I would guess, I'm going to say they probably had over 500,000 to close to 750,000, I would imagine, because it was on a really good time slot. It was later on in the afternoon. You could go out and do a bunch of your stuff early and then get home and plop yourself down on the couch. So 15 to 20,000 people, especially for a road course, because you can only really you're sitting on a hill and you can only see so much on a road course. I would imagine. I've never actually been to a road course one, but I know my uncle and his friends camp out on one of the, I think they were in turn three, so they got to see a lot and they loved that spot. So, on to the 500. You want to talk about the announcement just not too long ago about the revamped no bumping qualification format?
Yeah, we can get into that. I believe that was it was released earlier this morning. I think if memory serves me correct, I have not been able to read the press release or not, but me and Josh were talking off air a little bit, and he can go into a little bit more detail about it. I know he has the press release pulled up, or he did earlier, but basically the gist of this is for again, as Josh just alluded to, the purists that want bump day. Well, unfortunately, I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but you're not going to get it this year because there are only 33 entries into the 110th running of the Indianapolis 500. So there's not going to be that bump day where one or more drivers isn't going to make the show. Everybody's going to make it. Just depends on what qualifying order. Basically, that is why the qualifications had to be revamped, or as Josh said, or edited a little bit, just because they had to make it for 33 cars. But Josh, you want to go in detail a little bit more about that?
So basically, we're still going to have 2 days of qualifications. On Saturday, between 11 a.m. and 5:50 p.m. out at the track, the drivers are going to have the ability to go out as many times as they'd like and do the traditional 4-lap qualification. And on Saturday, spots 16 through 33 will be set. Then come Sunday, back on Saturday, if you spots 1 through 10 on 1 through 10 on Saturday will be locked in to be able. They will not have to do anything special to begin the day on Sunday. Now, spots 10 through 15 will have their own session on Sunday to begin the day, and they will be fighting for the last. I apologize. I'm reading this and I'm doing it in my head. So 1 through 9 are locked into the Fast 12 for Sunday. When we get to Sunday, numbers 10 through 15 from Saturday will compete for the last 3 spots in the Fast 12. So if you're number 10 through 15, and they'll go in reverse order from 15 to 10, they will go out and they will have one chance at a 4-lap qualification. And then the top 3 from that group of 6. A group of 6 will advance to the to the Fast 12, and then they will go from there for figuring out who's going to be the pole sitter. I would imagine they would go from I don't know if they'll do like Fast 12, then the 6, then they get down to a certain amount or not, but that is how it will go for qualifications. So yes, they will go down to the Fast 6. That'll start approximately 6:35, and go from there. And the winner, I did not know this, will win $100,000. They'll get P1 sticker, and they'll get $100,000 for being the pole sitter. What do you
find
think?
It interesting as I'm reading this. I think this is really cool, where the fans will be able to salute the advancing teams during a cool down period, which will include laps behind the Chevrolet Corvette ZR1X pace car. Traveling at 100 miles an hour, the laps will allow air to flow through the air ducts to help cool the engines before the dramatic next round. So I think that's really cool that, instead of you after you complete your 4th lap and you cross the finish line or you cross the yard of bricks, you peel off. I think it's cool that they're going to allow the fans to salute these 33 cars that attempt to qualify from 1 to 33 for the Indianapolis 500. So I find that very fascinating. Josh, are you in the same boat? That's got to be something new, that, to my knowledge, because I can't remember if at one point in time in past, if fans were able to salute each car as they do their qualifying turn.
I don't remember it, but like I said, you're the more historian of this race than I am. I don't remember it, and I think it's really cool. I think it's a way to stretch out the time to make it to make the people that are going to be at the race, at the track, give them their money's worth for coming out for qualification. I think it's something new that they're trying, and it could it could go well, it could go bad. We don't know. We'll find out, but at least they're trying to make this. This qualifying, seeing it's it's not the conventional bump day type of thing. I think they did do a fantastic job of coming up with a way to keep the fans interested in figuring out who's going to get the who's going to get the pole. Bump day was always about who was going to get bumped. And they've now taken that to who's going to get P1, who's going to walk away with $100,000 to split between their team and get that beloved P1 sticker that could go on their car. And I would imagine that would, outside of winning the 500, that would probably be the biggest accomplishment you could do this weekend. Is that this month is to have P1 to lead the charge across the yard of bricks on that beautiful day of the 500 coming up here in about 13 days.
I have done, and this, I used to have a simulator, and trying to remember the video game on Xbox that I had that had the Indianapolis, not only the road course, but the 2.5 mile oval on it. I can't think of what it is right offhand, but I can tell you, and again, this is just a sim. I've never done this in real life, but it is a absolute rush, Josh, to have 32 other cars behind you, in groups of 3 as you go down. You're wide open going down in turn 1 at 225, 230 mile an hour. I can only tell you what it feels like in a sim. I can't imagine what it feels like in real life, a couple Sundays from now. But Josh, before we get on to anything else, we're talking about the entry list. I'm going to steal, it used to be a segment off of the morning show here on 105.7 The Fan, a pop quiz. Josh, can you give me the nine, without looking this up, can you give me the 9 winners that make up that are 9 of the 33 entries in the Indianapolis 500?
Let's see. Palou, Newgarden, Power, Dixon, Rossi, I got 5. I'm trying to think of the other 3. Castroneves, Helio. Is Sato racing? Is he going to be in there this year? So Sato. So I got 7. I have an 8th one. I just can't remember if it's Ericsson, Marcus Ericsson, and I am blanking for the 9th one.
All right, here we go. Elio Castroneves, Scott Dixon, Marcus Ericsson, Ryan Hunter-Reay, Joseph Newgarden, Alex Palou, Will Power, Alexander Rossi, and Takuma Sato.
Yes, I didn't have Hunter-Reay in there. I forgot that he was a previous winner of this. What was that, back in the early 2000s, probably, maybe 2010s?
You want to take a guess?
$2012.
Close. 2014.
Yeah, for not knowing exactly who won each year, that's not bad. But I'm impressed that I got 8 of the 9.
I'm right there with you. I'm shocked that you got all of those, but just looking at the entry list, there are 9 past winners, 5 that have won the Astro Cup. That's going to make up the 33 car field. There are 4 rookies. Jacob Abel, Carlo Collette, Dennis Hauger, and Nick Schumacher. 12 drivers are from the United States. The aforementioned Jacob Abel, Ed Carpenter, Connor Daly, Santino Ferrucci, Ryan Hunter-Reay, Kyle Kirkwood, David Malukas, Joseph Newgarden. Speaking of David Malukas, I'm not going to make it official yet because obviously I'm going to get the first pick when it comes to picking the winner for the 500. But depending on how practice goes, I would keep my eye on that number 12 machine. Just got a feeling. Keep my eye on that number 12 machine. But Joseph Newgarden, Graham Rahal, Stingray Robb, your favorite driver, Alexander Rossi, and Nolan Siegel make up the 12 United States drivers. And then there are 21 international drivers from 14 different countries. And then obviously you're going to have 33 engines. 18 of them are going to be Chevrolet, and 15 of them are Honda. That's going to make up the 110th running of the Indianapolis 500. Josh, any topics? I know I've kind of taken up a majority of our time this evening, but I know you had a few topics that you wanted to touch on this evening as well.
I barely caught it. I watched. If anybody watched, there was some interesting. There was an interesting in the press centers. There was four drivers were up on the podium this past weekend talking about on one of them talking about push to pass. I didn't exactly catch what they were talking about. I guess the push to pass was activated and available to drivers when it should not have been. And from what you were telling me before the show, that there was supposedly a gentleman's agreement that they weren't going to use it if it was available. But Alex Palou is feigning that he had no idea about this supposed gentleman's agreement. Could you expound a little bit more? And I know Palou and Award went at it again on the podium. You said it was right after qualifications on Saturday. Could you expound? What was that all about?
Yeah, I'm trying to find the article that came out talking about that particular subject was how push to pass, the activation, the button was going to be divvied out. But anywho, what you were talking about, and again, maybe the four would have been after the post race, because I had a prior engagement, so I couldn't do post race. But that's what it could have been, because you'd have for post race, you would have the three drivers that got on the podium, and then you would have there was another driver, or he's not a driver now. It was Tony Kanaan that came up, a team representative. That's how they perceived it, team representative. But basically, after qualifying on Saturday, in the media center, you had Alex Palou and Pato Award, and they were talking about this particular subject, about how it's revamped. Now, I'm trying to find the article that was talked about, and I guess I'm going to go over to Auto Week. IndyCar's new push-to-pass rules already causing chaos. New boost button usage rules that start this weekend are apparently unclear. Discussion turns into intentional comedy shtick, which they're right. But anywho, the way this was perceived is Alex Palou had no idea that there was a rule, or gentleman's agreement rather, about push to pass, and he was brought to light by this by Pato Award, and Pato Award was blown away that Alex Palou had no idea that there was a gentleman's agreement about the amount of push to pass that can be used. So it was interesting because was it? I can't remember if it was the exchange. I think it was Palou mentioned something about, well, it's interesting that teams could be easily cheating. And you think back to a few years ago with the catastrophe that we had at St. Petersburg with Team Penske using the push to pass when they weren't supposed to. So this article here has a little bit of how the conversation did go. Alex Palou, I'm going to clean this up a little bit. Says, so at the start, maybe this is what you're referring to, Josh, Alex Palou. So at the start, if IndyCar effed up again and I press the button, no, and then the moderator, no, it is not on until, Palou says, he said, if I push it and it works because someone else's mistake, it's my fault. Yes. Reporter goes, that's how I read the rule. Palou, I didn't read the rule. Sorry. And then Kyle Kirkwood steps in and says, did anyone read the rule? I'm sorry. Then it's David Malukas. Are we talking about the new rule? Pato Award. I was reading it earlier and didn't read it that way. Palou. He's saying it's inactive. It's not active at the start. We're all on the same page. If he's saying if we press it and it works because someone else does a mistake, we get penalized. Award. That makes sense because you're not supposed to be able to use it until the finish. Palou, again, for the second time. Kirkwood. We should probably move the drivers meeting up to now. Palou. I'm very surprised that only half of the grid use it. Very surprised. That's just a little bit of takeaway from that. But yes, Josh, it was very interesting, the banter back and forth between Alex Palou and Pato O'Ward post-qualifying, because, like I said, Palou just had this look of shock on his face that there was this agreement between the drivers, only to use push-to-pass in certain times. And then this new rule does seem, according to, Pato O'Ward, that it is very unclear and very muddy when it comes to this push-to-pass stuff.
So I found something. I guess what they're talking about is something happened at Long Beach. It says at Long Beach, a software glitch meant the push-to-pass system was disabled during a restart, but still allowed drivers to push the buttons and hope it would work. 12 drivers, including Palou, pressed it and received the 60 horsepower boost, while O'Ward did not. IndyCar later found no penalty where issues, partially because some drivers claimed they didn't know it was active. So, and I do believe I saw so it was. So I guess what Palou was saying, and he said if somebody uses it and gets by, let's say somebody uses it when they're not supposed to, when they're not allowed to. These software glitches seem to keep happening with the push to pass, where they're not supposed to be activated, but they are activated. And I'm assuming O'Ward he's in a subtle way saying that Alex Palou is cheating by pushing the button to see if it's there. And Palou is saying, look, if I do something and if I'm not supposed to do something, if I'm not allowed to do something, or I'm not supposed to be able to do it, but I can because of an error that someone else made, is that technically wrong? What is your thought on that, Derik? If you're not supposed to do something, but it is there, you're not supposed to be able to do something, but it is there for you to use due to someone else's error, and you use it, do you consider that to be a foul of the rules? Because you didn't. It's not like your team or someone else put in a back door to make it available. IndyCar did not disable it like they were supposed to, and it was used when supposedly it's not supposed to be used. Not that it's against the rule to use it, it's just not supposed to be active. What is your thoughts on that?
Well, let me clarify. I want to make sure we're on the same page here. You're asking me what my thoughts are if I'm behind the wheel and I'm told by my strategist that push to pass is disabled, but yet when I go and hit my push to pass button on my steering wheel, it gives me that boost of what it's supposed to do. Is that correct?
Correct. It's not supposed to be available to you, but when you go hit it, it gives you the boost. Did you do anything wrong? Is that cheating in your opinion?
Is it my fault, even though I was told that it's disabled? I'm trying to get every advantage that I can to win a race. So if I'm told that IndyCar, it's IndyCar's responsibility, if I remember correctly, they're the ones that disable the push-to-pass activation. And if they didn't, or was overlooked, how is that my fault? That's somebody not doing their job. That's just like if I go and get a new vehicle, and again, I know I'm comparing apples to oranges here, but just follow me. If I go and get a new vehicle, I'm expecting that vehicle to be in pristine condition. But if I drive it off the lot and all of a sudden the wheel nuts fall off, is that my fault? Or is that the person that put that they must have missed lug nut day at school putting cars together. It's not my fault that the lug nuts fell off and the tire fell off. That's the person that responsible for putting that together on the factory line. So that's the same thing. That's not my fault that even though you told all the teams that push to pass would be inactive during this time period, but yet somebody did not do their job and turn off the activation to my car, and I was still able to use it. I don't believe that's my fault at all.
I don't believe it is either. Now, whether there was an agreement between the drivers that they were not even going to attempt to push the button at the beginning to see if it's there, that's a different thing. If it did come out that if it ever comes out and somehow, some way, somebody can prove that they had a meeting or there was a gentleman's agreement between all the drivers that no matter what it is, you're not going to attempt to try to use it at the beginning, whether you know it's activated or not, that's a different thing. But in my opinion, if Alex Palou did this and it was activated and IndyCar fired up and did not disable it like they were supposed to, that's on IndyCar. That's something that IndyCar needs to get fixed. They need to figure out, because this is the second time that the push to pass, and they could be more, there could be other instances that the push to pass was not supposed to be able to be available, but was available and was used by drivers to take advantage of it. I'm not, and there's an old saying, and I'm not saying anyone's cheating, but if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. If you are not trying to figure out a way, an advantage, a loophole, something that you are just not, you're not trying. And I can't tell you who this is, because there's a guy, he's either on YouTube or Facebook or something. He does a running enactment of F1 and going back and doing talking about different loopholes that F1 drivers and teams and principals have exploited all throughout the years. I'll find out who it is and I'll show it to you. I'll let you guys know about it. But these teams are constantly trying to find a way, a loophole, a workaround that is not against the rules, but is a gray area. There is always gray area. There's never black and white when it comes to these rules and how they're interpreted, because one person interprets it one way, one person interprets it another way. I remember, I don't know who it was, but there was a driver in NASCAR several years ago when you could build your own cars, that basically the entire rule book was based off of him, because at one particular point he had a 19-foot 2-inch wide fuel line that would hold an extra 2 to 3 gallons of gas, and so he wasn't cheating. He was getting around the rules. Cheating and getting around the rules are two different things. If you find a loophole, use it, exploit it, make the series figure out a way to take that loophole away. But until it's taken away, use it. Do what you got to do, because I guarantee you, all the other teams are trying to find loopholes and workarounds.
You know, it goes back to your favorite football coach of all time, and it's not Jim Tressel or Ryan Day. Bill Belichick. If you're not cheating, you're not trying. But I am in total agreement with you. If for some unforeseen circumstance does come out that there was a gentleman's agreement about if push to pass is supposed to be deactivated and it's not to use it, then I'm absolutely 100% in agreement with you that something should be done, because if not, it's just going to escalate like it did a few years ago with Team Penske at St. Pete. And then Josh, you're opening up another can of worms, because then does that mean that the dominant years Alex Palou had, are they tainted because of that? That's going to just open up another Pandora's box. But again, it goes back to the great Bill Belichick. Love the coach. If you're not cheating, you're not trying. And I think you're absolutely right. There are going to be drivers, not only drivers, but engineers that are going to push that envelope, and they're going to set their car up as close to that gray area or that white line that you're talking about. They're gonna try not to overstep it. But again, it just happened last year. You think about it at the 500 with Team Penske and their all of their issues they had with their cars. So yes, I do believe the rules need to be a little more clear, but also too, if it's going to be that, made aware that push to pass is going to be deactivated, then that needs to somebody, and again, I hope we're not going to form a committee, because how I feel about committees, but somebody needs to oversee to make sure that all entries in that race, their push to pass is all turned off. Not the podcast, the feature is all turned off at the same time.
Oh, I agree. 100%. Someone's got to fix it. Someone's got to get the rules fixed, or the gray area less gray. There's always going to be gray area, but on this subject, somebody needs to be on it. They need to have one person dedicated that flips the switch that push to pass is available, and then flips the switch back when it's not available. And on your mention of those evil coaches, I want to congratulate R.J. Day Jr. On his commitment to the Wildcats of Northwestern. He'll be wearing purple. My question will be, on game days, will Ryan Day be wearing purple socks?
He'll be wearing purple something, but I'm not sure we can discuss what that attire would be on the air. All right, Josh. So we've taken up a little bit of the people's time, as we normally do here on a Monday night. Anything else you have over there on your litany of notes that we need to discuss here before we get off here and we're officially into Indianapolis 500 mode?
No, I can't really think of anything. I think I did really well. I did see. I sent you you guys a video of a young lady that created. I can't remember. Was it Willpower? It was either Willpower or Scott Dixon. A really cool umbrella with different things that he was using this past weekend. He borrowed from someone, but the umbrella was really cool. Had pictures of him and all his accomplishments. Shout out to that young lady. If I find out who it is, I'll come back next week and shout out again. We're here. We're in May. We got qualifying this coming weekend. We got Carb Day coming up in a couple weeks, which is going to be a fantastic time, as long as the weather's good, minus the concerts. And it's going to be a heck of a time. Michael's going to get back from his assignment and tell us all about it, hopefully, and everything's going to be good. And we're going to be in the media center, watching some great racing and some great spectacles, because if you have not been to the Indianapolis 500, the TV production does not do any justice. The fact that people show up at 2:00 in the morning waiting for the cannon to go off at either 5 or 6 and then pile in, and the race doesn't even start for another 6 hours. And these people, over 300,000 people, show up to this race, and to show up and watch this race and watch the flyovers and the helicopter, people driving in from helicopters, and just the starting grid. And hopefully this year we'll do a live grid walk. I'm not sure if we're going to have to figure out how to do that, but we're going to do a live grid walk on Sunday. And we're also got a little project that Michael has suggested we do. We're going to do and put together a compilation of different stuff. So watch out for that. But it's month of May, and it's full go, no stop, no breaks. Because if you break, you're gonna get passed.
I do have one more thing I want to add, and this is going to warm your heart, Josh, to the fullest. I feel and I believe that there are members of the Arrow McLaren IndyCar program that listen to the Push to Pass podcast. And why do I say that? Well, I have information to back that up. Did you happen to see the announcement of the main sponsor for Ryan Hunter-Reay's number 31 machine?
Did you find the money? We're going to be on the car? Is that what it's going to be? There's going to be Push to Pass on the car?
You're close. They did take one of our ideas that we have bantered back and forth about for years on end. What do you think that is?
Ooh, what betting site are they putting on there?
The official sponsor for the number 31 Arrow McLaren Chevrolet, going to be driven by Ryan Hunter-Reay, is Prize Picks.
Okay, Prize Picks is an interesting one. It's not exactly a gambling site as I like, but baby steps. We're gonna go baby steps. Maybe one will be done by Kalshi. Kalshi is a new. It's not a betting site. It's a speculation site. But hey, you know what? We got to start somewhere, and Prize Picks is a good start.
I'm glad you clarified what Kalshi was, because I was just going to look at you with the WTF look, because I had no idea what that was. But yes, absolutely. You know what? It's better than any other time an IndyCar team has had a betting or daily fantasy site on their car. Wait, they haven't. So see, we're making progress. That's all we ask for. We're making progress.
Yes, we are. If you are in the market for starting betting, sports betting, get a hold of me. Send me a message on Twitter, or X as we would call it, and I will send you an invite to Fanatics. Fanatics is becoming quickly my favorite betting site, not only because I am doing very well on it, but you can earn fan cash, which fan cash can then be turned into merchandise. You can they have IndyCar stuff on there. They have Palou Award shirts and jerseys and die casts. So reach out to me. All you have to bet is $10 to get $50 in fan cash on anything, and we will we'll go from there. I'll even I'll even walk you through how to make bets. So if you are interested, I will refer you, and we are going to make some money.
That sounds like a shameless plug and a future sponsor on the Push to Pass podcast. But I thought you were going to go and say that you quit your full-time job to be a bookie. That's what I was really expecting, is you're going to say you are now Josh the bookie.
I am not a bookie because bookies are illegal, but I will guide you. I will not take any of your money. I will guide you in the betting world. And if I don't know it, I will get a hold of Mike of IndyCar Bets, and he can assist me and stuff. But yeah, get a hold of me. I'll send you a referral. We'll start making some money.
Definitely, I can't wait for that, and can't wait for Fanatics to be a new sponsor here on the Push to Pass podcast. But before all that happens, yes, we're going to have practice tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, and then you're going to have a Fast Friday going into qualifying weekend. I know myself, and as Josh is doing the running man, so I wonder if he's getting ready to qualify. But anywho, I know myself I'm going to be out at the track all day, each one of those days. I'm sure Josh is going to stop in, and Michael will stop in as well. If you do end up seeing us or passing us somewhere, hopefully not in the slow lane, but just say hi, and that you listen to the Push to Pass podcast. Definitely love to hear from the podcast nation. All right, that does it for another episode here on the Push to Pass podcast. If you missed any of it, you can always go back and find it on YouTube or any of the podcast format sites that you use to get your podcast on. So for myself and Josh and Michael and everyone that makes up the Push to Pass podcast. Until next Monday when we're talking, it's Indianapolis 500 week. Until then, so long, everybody.